Hey everyone, welcome to our first Q&A session for the Freedom Builder Bootcamp. The goal of this Q&A session is to answer all of your questions. So, all right, Manish asks, being a complete newbie and based in the UK, what is the best strategy to start selling in the UK or register to sell in the US? Great question. And what I like to encourage people to do is to do whatever method seems like the easiest or least intimidating for you. So there's plenty of demand in both the EU and the UK markets, as well as the US markets, to support sellers and to be successful. So it really comes down to, there's a few little kind of fine print differences, like there's VAT tax in the EU, and there's a few other little things, but I would encourage you to just sell in whatever marketplace seems least intimidating or easiest for you to get going in. Peter asked, Alibaba has a bulletin RFQ function. Do you recommend using this to put out the word on the product we want manufactured? In short, feel free to do so. I don't think I've ever actually found one of the factories that I've used using the RFQ function, but it's pretty easy and quick to do. So, feel free to do so. In one of the future modules, let me see what module it is. Oh, next one. Module 3, we're gonna go more in depth about how I like to go about sourcing. You'll see that I prefer to see what suppliers the top rated products are using as opposed to just kind of more randomly find them on Alibaba. But like I said, the RFQ thing's easy to do. There's not really any harm to do so. So feel free to do so, but it's not my preferred way to go about finding factories. If you set up an Amazon seller account as an individual, is it easy to change it to a professional? Yes, it is. So feel free to set it up as an individual to get started. Haven't created an LLC yet. Should I wait until the new year so I do not need to do any taxes? Garrett, assuming you live in the US, a single member LLC is a pass-through entity. So you actually report all income and expenses on your personal tax return. So even if you have an LLC, if there's no income or expenses, then you wouldn't really have anything to report. Assuming I understand all that correctly. I'm of course not a tax attorney, but I have had a bunch of businesses over the years and I'm pretty sure that would be accurate. I tried to get an EIN, but it needs a SNN, ITIN. I'm not sure how to get that. That doesn't sound correct to me, Bear. I mean, you can definitely get an EIN number without having a social security number because, foreign-owned entities get an EIN. And so I'm confident that you can do it. Maybe on the online form it needs it or something. I don't think so though.
I did it cold from Australia.
Okay. So I think you may be able, if you can't do it on the online form, you can either call or it sounds like you can also send in a form in order to do so. But you can definitely get one without a social security number. I know that. What's the criteria for 1, 2, 3, etc. ranking in Jungle Scout, the extreme left column? All that is the ranking of the products on Amazon. So I'll just do an example for you real quick. So, when I'm on here, if I run the Jungle Scout extension, what you see is the number 1 product here. It's just the number 1 listed on Amazon. So this number 1 is this Ajmi whatever. That's the number 1 spot right here. And then if you want, you can turn on sponsored products. So I can apply those changes. And then you'll see that it shows the 2 sponsored product items here as well. So that's all it is. Manzir said, I'm new to Amazon. How do I change my current pro Amazon account setup from individual to a legal entity? And do I need to register for VAT initially? Manzir, are you in the US or in the EU? Because I think in the EU that this can actually turn into a little bit of a bigger challenge. In the US, it's not that difficult to do. What you do is, it's been a while, so I might, you go to settings, then you go to tax settings. I think this is right. Whoops, no, it's not. Hang on a second. You go to, I guess, account info. I'm looking for something where it says like take tax test or something like that. It'd be this one. So right here it says legal entity. When you click that, you can retake this tax exam. So update tax information. And when you go through that, that's how you change like essentially the legal entity associated with that account. And that's essentially what Amazon would report as who earned the income associated with this particular account. Now, do know that they may ask for additional information or why you're changing the legal entity name, or ask for additional proof or things like that. So just know that that might happen. Lee Pierce, hey Greg, do you have a timeline schedule for the course, and is it intended that we should actually launch a product according to that schedule? Lee, I would recommend that you try to stick with the schedule of the course and launch a product then. For some people, especially people who are maybe have a full-time job as well as have to take care of the family or whatever else, you might find that the course timeline's a little aggressive. And if so, it's not a big deal. You can launch it at your own pace, but it is nice trying to launch a product with everyone else that's in the course, because then like you're at the same spot, you have the same questions, and that's really nice to do. Peter said, we got an email today that said you're not eligible to offer premium shipping options on your seller fulfilled orders. Don't worry about that. I mean, I strongly recommend you just use FBA, and that's just Amazon trying to get you to use one of their other programs. There's been a big push inside of Amazon to try to get people to use Seller Fulfilled Prime. Is there relevance ranking and results for Opportunity Finder? For example, are results on page 20 less relevant for the filters versus page 1? Opportunity Finder is sorted in whatever column you have it selected as. So I'm just gonna do a search for everything. And right now it's sorted by niche score. Okay, so the items with the top niche score are at the top. But if I change this and click on a different column header, now it's showing me, well, that's all the way low. If I click it again, these are the ones with the highest sales or average monthly units sold. Okay, so that's how it's sorted. It's nothing else other than that. Wending said, can you talk about Amazon opportunity in Canada? I did some product research and it seems most of the products are of low demand. Would you say that is worth selling in Canada, or can I start selling to the US directly? I know most Canadians choose to just sell in the US because it's fairly easy to do so, not very intimidating. There are good opportunities in Canada, but what you'll find is it's going to be items that would be like really crazy high demand in US because the Canadian Amazon store does have so much less demand. So both are fine options, but the majority of Canadians choose to sell in the US. Manzir said, how should I vary the filters on the product database and Opportunity Finder for the UK market? The number of products and niches output are quite low. Great question. On the UK or the EU market, I'd be comfortable selling in niches that have a little bit less demand, but I would also look for something that's a little bit less competitive. So I'd want to adjust both of those particular filters down. Morshad said, I'm from Toronto. How can I start? What are the procedures I have to deal with in the beginning? I would recommend starting inside of the Freedom Builder Bootcamp information. That's kind of everything that we talk about there in Module 1. That's all the stuff to kind of help you get started, get your business set up, everything along those lines. So yeah, if you have any kind of questions, specifically about any of those, I'm more than happy to help. Just let me know. It says that I haven't set up an LLC, but was thinking to set up a company in Australia until I saw Module 1. Do you think an LLC is better than a company in Australia? So a lot of these international tax laws and stuff such tax laws get a little bit complicated, but I do know that most Australians that I speak with, including one that we have here on our team, choose to create a US-based LLC. Lenny, do you know the reasoning why?
Not really. I did set up a company in Australia, but I am now setting up an LLC here.
Okay.
Easier.
So it sounds like it's, in general, just like a little bit easier to do so, to set it up in the US. With the minimum order requirement, can we do something like ship half to the UK and half to the US? Would that count as a sum total order to meet the requirement? Yes, you can do that. I would recommend for most people to choose one market to get started in. You know, there are some different requirements in the EU versus the US. The EU has the VAT stuff, and there's like some little, just kind of small things that are a little bit different, and it might be a little extra overwhelming to try to learn both of those at the same time. So I would probably recommend that you focus on one, but that being said, if you're really gung-ho and excited to do it, you know, people do split up shipments and ship half one place, half another. Using the daily average units sold in Product Tracker, do you recommend doing 99 units tracking in Amazon Cart? No, you don't need to, Vincent, and I'll actually show you something cool. What you can do is inside of the Product Tracker, it actually automatically does the 999 thing for you. So if you expand these and then you do include inventory, so this one has either very low inventory or it's reserved. So that one's not the best example. Let me try to find a different one that's better. Okay, it's like this one right here. You know, their inventory, or they just had mailed some in, and then it had dropped quite a bit. So you can do this right here to include inventory, and that's essentially the 999 trick you're talking about. But in my opinion, the 999 trick thing's a little bit old school. The software tools like Jungle Scout have gotten just like so much more accurate and more advanced over the years. That like back in the day, the 999 trick was like the best way to figure out sales estimates. But now, I mean, there's some downsides to it, like the 999 thing though, right? Like if there's multiple sellers sharing the buy box, or when they ship in inventory, or when they move inventory from one distribution center to another. Those are all ways that like cause like the 999 trick to become like less accurate. So what we found is that it is like 99% of the time it's more accurate to just go off the sales estimates that Jungle Scout provides based off of rank. Many said, is there a way to watch the bootcamp videos offline? Good question. We are working on it right now, I'm told. So stand by. In the meantime, while we work on that, if you try downloading the Kajabi app, you might be able to download them in the Kajabi app. That's unverified, I haven't tried, but if it doesn't work inside of the normal Freedom Builder Bootcamp, it may inside of there. When is the next live stream? I will show you guys the schedule right here. So today is the 3rd. So we're doing the Q&A today. We plan on posting a bonus video each Wednesday for the entire month of December. The next Q&A is going to be in 2 weeks on the 17th. And then starting in January, that's when the course officially kicks off. In January, we'll do a Q&A every single week, and we'll also be releasing a brand new module each week. Hi, I'm from Iceland. Do I need to collect sales tax? Ooh, sales tax. I am huffing and puffing because it unfortunately is a little bit of a gray area and can be a little bit complicated, okay? So if you asked 10 different tax attorneys this question, you get 10 different answers. And the reason for that is there was some clarity around some legislation at the end of last year, but it's still unclear to some people when you have what's called like nexus in different states. So I'll tell you what the vast majority of people in your position do. I'm not saying that this is right or wrong. Like I said, I'm not a tax attorney, but I do work with a whole bunch of sellers and I know what the majority of them do. Amazon will automatically collect and submit sales tax for you for a whole bunch of states. Like I can actually see right here that that for For example, for New York, Amazon manages it. For Arizona, Amazon manages it. So like Amazon automatically is collecting and submitting the sales tax for me for all these states. And like each week it seems like it's like more and more states. If you would like to add any other ones, you can do so. But for these, Amazon will collect the sales tax and pay you, but it's up to you to actually file for it and submit it. So keep in mind that sales tax is different than like income tax. So sales tax, Amazon handles like it for you for like half of the states. The vast majority, I would guess 99% of people in your same scenario, especially being out of the country, they wouldn't collect and submit any additional sales taxes. As far as your personal income tax, that's, I don't know what Icelandic laws are like for money that you make outside the country. Sorry, I can't help too much there, but yeah, that's essentially how it works. Helen said, it's easy to set up an LLC in the US if you live abroad, and does it cost much? It does not cost very much. I always forget the price, but it's like $100 or $150 or something for like a Wyoming LLC. There's a whole bunch of other states that some people like Delaware is pretty popular. I think New Mexico is popular. I don't know, for some reason I've always used LLC ones and I don't have anything bad to say about them, so I stick with them. But yeah, it's pretty inexpensive. As we find product ideas, how do we best bounce them off of you guys? Good question. There's a few different ways that you could go about doing it. You know, if you feel comfortable doing so, you're welcome to put it inside of the Facebook group. This way, not only we could give you feedback, but other people could give it to you as well. I think everyone's first impression is like, okay, well, or I don't want to do that because then everyone else will steal my ideas. But what I've found is like working with like close-knit groups like this is that the vast majority of the time, people aren't really going to do that because like it turns into like almost a little bit of like a family atmosphere. So like, I wouldn't be worried about that too much. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, the best thing to do is probably just shoot us an email at support@freedombuilderbootcamp.com, and happy to help you out there. I know I'm bad at responding to all my Facebook Messenger messages because I get like 1,000 a day, it feels like. But Rolando, one of my colleagues who's really good at this stuff, I think he's better than I am. So you could also probably shoot him a message on Facebook and I'm sure he'd get back to you. Vincent said, can the max of 150 tracked items be increased if possible? I normally no, but I'll tell you what. If you've maxed out your 150 items, shoot us a quick email. Shoot us an email at support@freedombuilderbootcamp.com, and we'll get you hooked up and get some of your product tracks increased. Just put a little note in there that said, Greg said on the live stream that you'll give me more product tracks, and we'll hook you up. Do we have to pay the 25% tariff if sourcing from China? I go into this in depth during that particular module. What you'll find is there are some items that do have tariffs. There are a lot of items that don't have tariffs. And then there's of course different tariff rates. So I know that's not the question that you wanted to hear, but unfortunately without knowing like your exact product, I wouldn't know what the tariff rate would be. It could be 0, it could be 5%, it could be 10%, it could be as high as 25%, or there's a few really weird products that are like super high. But that's the gist of it. And that module will definitely be released and will definitely help you make sure you figure that out before you put down the down payment. What will happen after the boot camp? Rob, after the boot camp, you will have a successful business and you won't need me anymore. You're like, screw you, man. I'm doing my own thing. No, of course we can still keep in touch. Like I said, it's likely that this kind of turns into like a little bit of family where we all know each other. Maybe we'll even meet up in real life sometime. So yeah, we can definitely still keep in touch. Love Jungle Scout. I understand the buy box and competing for the buy box. I don't understand how you find an item for the buy box. Does it have to be the exact same item? Will it be commingled inventory? So Amazon works differently than say what like eBay does, okay? So on Amazon, anytime there's a product that shares the same UPC, or it's the same product, it's added to the same listing, okay? And let me just show you an example of this, and it's gonna be a little bit easier to understand. So let me find an item real quick with multiple sellers. That one's only 2. Dang it, let me find something better. We'll do Canon lens. Surely this guy has a bunch of sellers. And it does not. Darn it. Stand by. I'm finding you one, don't worry. I got you. Maybe Canon doesn't allow people to sell their products on Amazon. Guess not. Jeez, it was locked down. 1 second, I'll find you one. All right, here's a good one. 47 sellers on this one. All right, so anyone who tries to sell this Canon lens, anyone who sells like the Canon EF 100mm, like this exact lens, has to sell it on this listing on Amazon, okay? So like I said, that's like different than eBay. On eBay, like, actually, let's just do it right now real quick for fun. There's gonna be like 1,000 of these, right? Like this is the same lens, but essentially it's like just the same thing over and over and over and over. So Amazon, one of the reasons it's like a better user experience than what eBay is that everyone who sells the exact same product has to sell in the exact same listing, okay? Now, I can see that because like down here it says new and used 50 from different prices, right? And I can click on this and this shows me all of the different options for purchasing this. So I could say only show me the new ones even. And these are all of the people selling this exact same lens on Amazon. So now I'm telling you this because you asked about the buy box. So for anyone who doesn't know what the buy box is, this thing over here on the left or the right hand side, you know, it's a little box shape. And if you click add to cart, most Amazon shoppers don't know this or understand this, but you're buying from whoever they call it like controls the buy box. So right now Amazon sells this product, so they control this buy box. Alternatively, like if we went back to my marshmallow sticks, then we would see that, let's just go back real quick. Oops. If we go here, you see like sold by Jungle Creations. So like Jungle Creations controls this buy box. So if you're the only seller on a listing, you automatically control the buy box. If there are multiple sellers on a listing, then what happens is if Amazon sells that item, then they take the buy box. If Amazon doesn't sell that item, or in some rare situations where there's other sellers who have it much cheaper, then what happens is they rotate through whoever has the lowest price. So that's essentially how it works. Hopefully I didn't confuse you too much. The other question, Susan, will it be commingled inventory? No, you can decide whether or not it's commingled inventory, but you're selling on the same listing. Peter said, live challenge, using this ASIN, show how to actually find the supplier. So bear in mind that you know, you can't always find the supplier. It doesn't work 100% of the time, but I'm happy to try your challenge and I'll show you how I would try to find the supplier to the best of my ability. All right. So that looks good. Found the listing. I'm gonna go into suppliers, supplier database. I'm guessing you already tried this and it didn't work, and that's why you're asking me. I'm gonna type in the ASIN. Now it says, it looks like it's owned by this company. So let's see what these items are. Some caps, bunch of other caps. Okay, so what's happening right now is there's different records that are showing that different organizations own the brand or trademark name Tuo. And I can see some of these different ones right here, right? So these are some of the other ones that might own it. That doesn't look like who we want. Let's try this other one. So this is probably it. Because knife set, cutting board, that's probably them. Let's just check this last one just in case. No, that's not it. All right, so it looks like there's a strong chance. Which one was that? This one? No, I forget. Man, all these ones are running together now. Okay, cool. So I'm going to click on this company. All right, it looks like they've only had one shipment. All right, so I can go to Google, I can search for them, and I can just say like knife. Let me see if I know anything else about this thing. Let's try, see if this helps at all. It's not showing up. Let's try deleting that. Let's see what some of these say. Ooh. They're in Canada. I'll try searching for them and see what I find. So, honestly, my best guess would it be out of business, because the top two listings for their addresses says it's for lease. So my best guess for this particular one is that this factory is no longer in business. But that's essentially how the process would work, right? Like I'm just trying to find out anything I can. Let's see. Oh yeah. Let me see. I think this is the same address, but let me check real quick. I'm just doing a little internet stalking to find out everything I can about this company, and then usually just Google's your friend. All right, it's the same one. It's coming up all of their offices or their offices for lease in a few different spots. So considering like it doesn't appear that they have a website and their offices for up for sale or for lease, my best guess is they went out of business. What caused you to create this awesome course? You know, I'd say like in life and in business, I tend to get a little bit bored with things that I've been doing for a while. So, you know, like I was all in focused on my Amazon business, and I've been doing it for a few years and started to get a little bit bored of it. So then I created a software company. Now I've been doing that for actually 5 years now. And yeah, I mean, I'm also managing my FBA business, but I don't know, I was just kind of ready for like a new challenge, like something for fun. I really enjoy like working with other individuals. Like entrepreneurship's had a huge impact on my life. So like I'd like to see that in other people. So I think just like a combination of all those things together is what inspired me to create it. Wenting said, "Hey Greg, would you say that the design of a product is important? For instance, if there's a good opportunity in the coffee table, but most sellers are selling very similar designs, do you think finding a designer to design the piece of furniture and sell it on Amazon is worth it, or do you think it might be too risky?" I know people who do a very similar strategy to this, Wenting, and have a great amount of success with it. So I don't necessarily think it's too risky. What you can do to mitigate the risk in this particular scenario is like you can use the tools to find out what types of, let's see, in your example, it's coffee tables. What types of coffee tables are selling best on Amazon? Like, are they metal with a glass top? Are they wood? Are they, I don't know, like whatever else? And then I would try to do something similar to that because that's like what's been verified with demand. So I think what would be a little bit more risky would be like, hey, I'm just gonna create a brand new design. It's crazy, no one's ever seen anything like it before. Something like that would be a little bit more risky. With the tools available on Jungle Scout, do you recommend we still use BSR to assess the competition demand for products in a niche? No, I think that's old school. What you'll find is that like a BSR of 1,000 in appliances only sells like 50 units a month, whereas a BSR of 1,000 in like sports and outdoors sells like 10,000 a month. So it's just an old school way of like assessing demand. Like before Jungle Scout came out, essentially that's how people determine demand. But yeah, it's been a while now, and that's old school stuff. Are we gonna get a checklist of things we need to do each week before each module starts in January? What we'll be doing is giving you guys, so all this stuff will be posted inside of the Freedom Builder Bootcamp. And in there, we'll have whatever you need for that module. So like some weeks there's gonna be extra like PDFs or other downloads or all kinds of stuff like that. So and then we'll also just be like through these Q&As and stuff, be talking about like what we'll be working on that particular week. Will there be a mobile version of the extension? Hopefully soon, but I don't know when. Lisa said, I've found a couple of products with good numbers on the extension, but after a couple of weeks following, the numbers on the extension are not so good anymore, basically high competition. What's the best way to use the product tracker to confirm the product has low competition? You know, this is one of those things that, I mean, the best way to use is to put them in the product tracker and let them, just like monitor over time. That being said, it's one of those things that it is kind of easy to fall into like analysis paralysis and like track something for just like ever and be scared to pull the trigger on it like forever. And then 2 years later, you're still thinking about it, but now there's 20 other sellers on it or whatever. So at some point you do just have to kind of pull the trigger. And, like the numbers that I'm teaching you guys in the product research module and the opportunity score that the extension gives you stuff, like they're good indicators on whether or not there's high demand, low competition, and good indicators of whether or not you'll be successful. But like, a few new entrants into the market doesn't by any means like ruin the opportunity of the business. You know what I mean? So, I think you'll kind of get the hang of it after like you've found like a few different products and you kind of watch them for a few weeks. Like there's usually for people like one or two that kind of stand out, but the best thing to do is just add I like to add like the first like 10 products on the first page to the product tracker, or the first 10 products that are most relevant to my product. Jerry said, super excited to be part of this group. Jerry, we are super excited to have you as part of this group. Mess said, if you start selling on the UK, once you get the hang of it, can you expand to the US under the same account, or do you need to start a new account completely to sell on the US Amazon? Yes and no. You can use the same login. Like for example, I can go into my Seller Central right now and I can switch back and forth from my UK account to the US account. That being said, you do have to do kind of like that tax interview before. So it's like the same login, but it's kind of a separate account because you have to do like a new tax interview, even if it's with the same business entity and stuff. Would you avoid any product that Amazon sells directly? No. So keep in mind here that when you create your own product and create your own brand or private label a product, you are creating your own listing, and Amazon's not going to sell on that listing. So like you're not competing for the buy box with Amazon for that listing, okay? So I would not compete against Amazon on the same listing. I wouldn't sell the exact same product on Amazon and compete for the buy box with them. I would, and I actually prefer to compete against Amazon when I'm selling a similar product to them, because Amazon typically doesn't really have that good of listings. We've done a lot of research around it, and I've seen nothing to lead me to believe that Amazon favors, or like Amazon doesn't rank their own listings over third-party sellers, because at the end of the day, Amazon actually makes more money a lot of the time on third-party sales versus selling their own products. Because like if you think about it, it's like a guaranteed 15% commission when Amazon sells your product, where their margins for some products are less than 15%. So like they're not really incentivized to rank their products over yours, and ultimately they just want like the best experience for the customer and the conversion for the customer, because they just ultimately just want the customer to make the purchase. When getting quotes from suppliers, are you allowed to show another supplier their quote? Yeah, you can. Yeah, I guess I've never really done it before. That being said, I might not be like the best negotiator in the world. You know, like my best tip for negotiating is that if you legit have multiple factories, that'd be a good option for you. Then it's just much easier to negotiate because like you can just push them a little bit harder and you're not worried. Like if they threaten to walk away, then you're like, okay, bye. And then like, you know, sometimes they come back. So yeah, I mean, you can. I don't know if I've ever used that negotiating tactic. I listed some products I bought from IKEA to learn the process, but now it just sits there for the past 2 months now. There are 2 other sellers, so I used the listing, but it seems poor. What do you suggest One, you can decrease the price, because if you decrease the price, it's more likely you'll win the buy box. But I'm guessing what's happening here is that that there's just very low demand for this product, so just people aren't really buying it. And like in that scenario, you can't do too much, unfortunately. I mean, you can do a removal order and have Amazon ship it back to you, but those are about the only things you can do. Douglas said, just for clarity, would you put the first 10 or so listings or a particular type of product to track that product idea? Yes. The first 10 or so listings of that particular type of product. So if I searched for marshmallow sticks and both metal and bamboo marshmallow sticks, like wood and metal, then I would add whichever ones I like care about, right? So I would just add the wood ones, or I would just add the metal ones. So that's how I would go about doing it. Vincent said, I really like the product notes and product tracker, but would you be able to add a feature to know which products have a note? Yes, we would be able to. That's actually on the roadmap, because I agree. It'd be nice to show a little note icon or something so you know that they're there. Can I mix retail arbitrage products with PLO products in my account? Yes, absolutely. Most customers don't even know that they're not buying their goods from Amazon, and you'll almost like never even have anyone come to your storefront. Even if they do come from their storefront, they don't care what products are there really. So short answer is yes, sell whatever products you want in the same account, multiple brands, retail arbitrage products, whatever else, it's fine. In the $1 million case study, I noticed Jungle Scout was able to sell the products under different stores, i.e. all 4 products were not listed together. Can we also do something like this? Let me show you. So, you know, I go into Amazon and this is my like case study account, Jungle Creations. I also have this called Jungle Sticks. So if I click on Jungle Sticks, it would only show me products that are under the brand name Jungle Sticks. So it doesn't matter what seller this is, it's just showing me products that are branded as Jungle Sticks. Now, if I click on the seller over here on the right, this is gonna show me and I click on their storefront, this is gonna show me what products that this particular seller is selling. So this is Jungle Sticks, and these are branded Jungle Snugs. And same thing, I could click on like Jungle Snugs here, and same thing, it's gonna show me all the products listed under Jungle Snugs. So that's how I'd recommend setting it up, because like Amazon doesn't allow you to have different or multiple seller accounts unless you ask for permission ahead of time. And you really don't need multiple seller accounts either though. So yeah, that's the best way to do it. What customer feedback service do you recommend? Assuming, let's see, customer feedback service. I don't know if you're talking about like the automated emails. If so, Jungle Scout has that built in. You just go under launch, and it's under email campaigns. Just create new, and you can send follow-up emails to do things like ask for reviews. If you're talking about, I think that's what you're talking about. If not, drop a new question in the chat box, I'll clarify. Lee Pierce said, I came across an electronic product, very simple, that has high sales volumes and relatively low competition. If minimum orders are high for this kind of product, requiring a large outlay for inventory, do you think it is too risky? You know, I think like decisions like that, Lee, are ultimately gonna be up to you. You know, like, are you comfortable with that kind of inventory investment? Yeah, I think it's ultimately comes down to you. You know, like obviously the more money you invest, the more risk you're taking, but also the more potential reward you have. The lesser amount investing into inventory, you Obviously, you're taking less of a risk, but there's not as much upside there either. So it's kind of up to you. I don't know your exact financial situation, so sorry I couldn't help more than that. Do you recommend to sell a product that has a big brand name in the market? I've found that in the majority of niches on Amazon, that most customers don't care that much what the brand is for a product. And like, if you look on Amazon now, the majority of the time, they don't even show the brand name on the search page. So, you know, we just made a search right here. Like, the brand name's not even on this search page. Now, there are still a few search pages that have it. Like, I think, let's try some of these like clothing items. Or I meant to say Nike shoes. So yeah, this one's kind of weird, but it's showing me the brand right here, right? And that's because they know that like in clothing items that people typically still care about the brand, but a lot of these items people we found like just don't really care that much. Let me try a different one, like Under Armour. It's the same thing. Like on this one, they're showing the brand Under Armour for the same reason. They know that for this type of clothing item that people tend to care about it. Let me just try like men's shorts. Same thing. So that's actually probably a good indicator of whether or not customers care about the brand name, or at least it's an indicator of it. It's whether or not Amazon's showing it on the search pages, because the majority of items you'll find they don't show it anymore. And that's the reason for that's like what I just said. Like, I don't get me started on a whole rabbit hole of what I think about brands and stuff. But I believe that brands have kind of been replaced by social proof through the review system on Amazon. So people are more willing to purchase a product that they don't know the brand, they don't really care about it, because they have like that assurance that's a quality product through the reviews. You confirmed earlier that alerts for notes in Product Tracker is on the roadmap. Does this also include adding notes at group level as well as product level on the Product Tracker? As far as I know, that's not on the product roadmap, but I will definitely put in that request, because I do agree that would be nice. A lot of times I ended up just putting notes like in the top one, but then if you move them around or delete them or whatever, they'd be gone. So that's a good idea. I'll let the product team know about that. When I list a new product and I'm not sure about the predicted sales volume yet, what is the impact on me as a seller if I run out of stock, besides the obvious, which is to lose out on the sales? You typically take a little bit of a hit as far as where your product's ranked for keywords, but Amazon also like remembers how well your product was selling before you ran out of stock. So like if you were like in the number 3 spot for your main keyword before you ran out of stock, you know, maybe when you go out of stock and then get back in stock, you're down to like the number 5 spot, but I can usually get back in that number 3 spot within a few days. So it's not the end of the world. Sometimes it's worse than that scenario I just described, but it is what it is. Do you have a recommendation for outside reading that would complement this project? Not necessarily FBA related, such as book, blog, that augmented your entrepreneurial e-commerce growth. Man, that's a really good question. I used to read so many books about just becoming an entrepreneur, like in general. Lately, I've been reading many more books on like leadership and managing teams and scaling businesses and stuff like that. So it's a little bit different. A few that I remember to be my favorites. I think this one's really good. The E-Myth Revisited. This talks about essentially like building systems to generate you money instead of exchanging your hours for dollars. So that's pretty good. Another one that I like, 4-Hour Workweek. It's like a little bit outdated now. But like the concept of it is still, oh yeah, purchased back in 2014. The concept of it is still very much true and cool. It's like the concept is that the really cool thing about like living in like this modern day world is that like you can like create businesses, or I think in there they call it like a muse that like generates you money, or that generates you money, and then you can like essentially spend your days however you want. So in the book, they go to the very extreme example of only working 4 hours per week. Me personally, I wouldn't like that. I wouldn't be very fulfilled, but the concept behind it's really cool and it's written really well. This one right here, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I haven't read that since college, but I remember it's pretty good. I'm trying to think if there's any other. I mean, a lot of these in here are crowd favorites. I've read $100 Startup. It's decent. I think those. I actually would probably recommend just those, the first two. I like the E-Myth Revisited, I remember, and I like the 4-Hour Workweek. For just general, just kind of like entrepreneur mindset type books that, you know, like when I was just starting out, I kind of thought like the whole mindset thing was like BS. And I was like, just give me the tactics of like how you actually do this stuff. But what I have realized over the years is actually like the mindset you have and like the willingness to like persist through like problems that you encounter, and just changing a little bit of like your mindset from what Robert Kiyosaki would say, from like what his poor dad taught him to what his rich dad taught him, that some of those things can be like really beneficial. Really like the filter sets. Will you consider allowing to load the same filters among product database, tracker, finder, and niche searches? Good product requests. Yeah, I think we could. Well, I guess the filters themselves are a little bit different though, right? Like in the opportunity finder, you use different filters than what you do in the, like the sliders are different, you know? So I don't know for sure if that would work, but yeah, we could check that out a little bit more. What are the sales to review ratios on your products? It varies greatly. Some products only get 2 or 3 reviews for every 100 sales. Some other products people really like to review. They'll get more like 6 or 7, maybe 8 per 100 sales. But yeah. William said, can you explain the broad and exact match criteria in the product research checklist? Do you consider PPC estimates for the keywords in the research phase? The only time I consider PPC estimates in the product research phase is like if they're like really high. So like if you see the PPC estimates like $5, $8, $10, that's like pretty darn high. If they're like $1, $2, even $3, I think those are fine. Broad match to exact match, what that means, William, is so let's say our keyword is 4-hour work week. It's already in here, why not? So 4-hour work week, okay? So if a customer types in 4-hour work week, alternatively 4-hour work week, alternatively 4-hour work weeks, those would all be exact match. So it's that exact phrase. The only thing that they correct for are like stemmings, plurals, or alternative spellings, like instead of the number 4 spelled out 4, okay? So those are all exact match. Broad match includes all those. So like alternative spellings, it's supposed to correct for misspellings, just like exact match, stemmings and plurals. But it also allows you to add keywords before, in the middle, or after your keyword. So if I searched for 4-hour computer work week, that would still show my product for 4-hour work week. Or if I did 4-hour work week on the beach, keywords after it, that would still show for the broad match, but not exact match. So hopefully that answers your question. Dana, can we stick with UPC for now? And when will we be pressurized by Amazon to switch over? Is the process lengthy? Good question. I'm gonna have some more information on this topic for you soon. We're doing a test right now that I am fairly excited about. So stay tuned, I'm gonna provide you more. If I don't remember to tell you about it, remind me, Dan, I'll give you some good information about it. Thank you guys very much. It's been a total blast. I've enjoyed hanging out with you guys. We will be posting a new bonus video tomorrow, as well as next Wednesday, and then I'll see you live on December 17th for our second Q&A. There'll be a couple more bonus videos, and then get either your pre-studying in now or your rest, because at the new year, it's gonna be time to kick off the boot camp officially, and I'm really looking forward to it. So thank you guys very much. I'm headed home, have dinner with my wife, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.